Hello, hello everyone. This is Coach Olivier. So today we're gonna have a live. The live today is we're gonna have a guest. His name is Eddy. So today live is gonna talk about the connection between our health and the spiritual aspect of our lives. And my guest today is Eddy. He's been on a healthy lifestyle journey for many years. So yeah, that's the topic for today. Waiting for him to connect. Yeah, so for those who are joining, if you can hear me, could you please type in the comment yes. So we're waiting for my guest today. His name is Eddy, and then the live today we'll be talking about healthy lifestyle, and with a focus on the spiritual aspect of our life, how it connects with our health. Uh, okay, yeah, okay. Thanks, Marcus. Oh, I don't know even why I'm calling you Marcus. I guess because that's the name. Hey, Hassan, how are you, man? Long time. Yeah, so if you guys have questions, so the topic today is about healthy lifestyle and the connection with the spiritual aspect of our lives. Yeah, so be covering the spirituality side of things. Um, yeah, so you can ask questions in the comment sections, or you could use the question box. Because sometimes if the live is very active, there might be a lot of questions in the comments, and the comments keep going up, and then I might miss some of your questions. Yeah, so if you don't want me to miss any of your questions, it's best to use the comment section. So to use the question box. Okay, so let me send the invite. One moment. Okay, yeah. So I just sent an invite to Eddy. While we're waiting, if you guys have any questions regarding spirituality, more specifically how it connects with our health. Hello, brother.
Hello, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Nice seeing you.
I've seen you too.
Yeah.
How
So
you
today
been?
I'm doing pretty good. Uh, got got my. I didn't sleep a lot last night, so but surprisingly enough, I'm feeling energized. So
You managed. Yeah. I
yeah,
don't think anyone is sleeping nowadays. So you're not the only one. It's not
yeah.
easy falling asleep.
It's crazy.
Too
Yeah,
many
maybe.
things happening.
Yeah, I guess we could probably touch about sleep today. I guess it kind of ties in also in what we'll talk about today. Yeah. So how, how's your day so far? Because it's already evening for you.
It's already evening, as you know, in the northern hemisphere. It gets dark very early.
Yeah.
I'm used to it now. Um, but yeah, I got my, I'm always ready. I got my ginger tea, and I also have
Okay,
my beet juice.
chamomile
Right?
tea. Okay,
So
that's
yeah,
good.
so this winter ain't got nothing on me.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So,
How
because
have you been yourself? There's a few people here. Hello?
yes, yeah, people are connecting. People are connecting. So we'll start in a minute. Just give people some
Yeah,
time to connect a little bit. But we'll just do some little chit chat, some introduction. Yeah, so
that's great.
because yeah, for those who don't know, who don't know me, I'm a health coach. Been coaching for some time now. And then my brother here, Eddy, we connected on social media. I don't remember exactly when, but
It's
I'm
been a
guessing
while.
it's at least I don't know if it's been 5 years already,
Yeah,
but
about 5, 6 years, yeah, something like that.
yeah, because I remember I connected early when I was still early on my journey, and I was really
Hmm.
impressed to see what you're doing. And for me, it was really another validation to see a brother, also like a brother from Burundi. So while people are joining, maybe give us a little bit of intro about yourself, and any fun facts you want to share about yourself, and then tell us a little bit more how you got into this healthy lifestyle journey.
Hi, hey, my name is Eddy Coleson, as it says. I'm called Echo because of my initials, right? They begin with E and C and O, and it so
Okay.
happens to be also about the ecosystem, which I care about it a lot. I talk about the ecological system. I talk about organic a lot, fruits and
Yeah.
veggies, and how it came to be is I didn't even know I was going to be who I am today. It started as just questioning lifestyle, right? I looked
Mhm.
around me and saw people living a certain way, and it was the norm, right? They ate certain things, they drank certain things, and it looked like there was a pattern that no one was questioning. Like, let's say, when it comes to sugar, for instance, it's very big where we come from. We
Yeah.
even have our own sugar industry, right? It's big. Everything is
I
sugar, sugar,
guess
sugar.
I guess after the alcohol industry, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they also use sugar, so it's not
Yeah, you're
everything.
right. Yeah.
So when I questioned that, everything changed because it causes an addiction you can't even fathom, you can't even see, you can't even begin to imagine, right? It's there. It's in the baby formula. It's in the any foods you want. It's in the bread, right? Everything. So when I started questioning this, it was it became like a rabbit hole. When you
Okay.
start digging, it gets
Hmm.
deeper and deeper and deeper. And all of a sudden, I started realizing that it's not just the sugar that's the problem. It's everything else. So when I started learning about processed foods, the difference between processed foods and real foods, we grew up on mostly mangoes and avocados in Africa, right?
Yeah.
Listen, where I come from, they grew everywhere. So I ate fruits and veggies like 70% of the time. So when I left that behind, not just physically, because you can buy fruits and veggies anywhere you want. When you step out of that natural cycle, right, of foods that have water in them, you start stealing from your own body.
Hmm.
The minerals, the vitamins, all these things that you have to take from the outside in, right? I started learning more and more about the vitamins, about the
Yeah.
what do we
So
need in our bodies, right?
yeah. So for the initial trigger for you, like, did something happen to you? Because usually most people, at least what we see on social media, who on this journey, like usually maybe they have like a health scare, or they get sick, or like was it like a one single, or is it like an element you could just pinpoint to it, or did something
Yeah.
happen, or you just felt like it's like what caused you
Well,
even to start looking into into sugar, for instance? Yeah.
the fog, this fog that you get, everybody has now. Like you can feel it in your head, right? Something
Yeah.
blocking your vision, headaches, pain in your back, right? I used to play football, soccer, as a young man,
Hmm.
and I became slower and slower. I started realizing that it had to do with what I take in. And I also paid attention to people around me. So I was lucky enough to stop it earlier.
Okay.
So my joints deteriorated. Um, Basically, I could feel something change within me. I was lucky, like I said, I was lucky to
Okay.
stop it
Yeah.
when it happened. So, and the people around me had already gone past, the breaking
Yeah.
point. And
Yeah, I say I guess you're very lucky in the sense that that I guess you had that awakening before
Mm.
before it's too late.
No, it's too late. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really interesting. Because I had a very similar journey myself. Like, for those who don't know me or just connecting to the page for the first time, like I grew up as a healthy kid, but when I look back, I wasn't that healthy just because I wasn't falling sick. But I was chubby. I started wearing glasses when I was I should have started wearing glasses, I guess, when I was 17, but I realized how bad it is when I was like 19. That's when I actually said I need to go see a doctor. Yeah, but eventually, like I quit drinking in 2009. But for me, that had nothing to do with being healthy or just I was trying to fight the addiction because you talked about addiction, the sugar, right? Yeah, so
Mm.
because we deal so much. So when I stopped drinking alcohol, for me, I thought I was going to lose weight. I was going to get a six pack, but it didn't happen. So from 2009 to 2011, actually I started falling sick and I gained so much weight and I was drinking so much coffee and all, right? And I think one of it is because I started eating sugary things. Because until at that point, like they say, if you drink alcohol, you don't eat sweet stuff, like it's like you're spoiling your beer, right? So that period in those 2 years, I started eating lots of cakes, like because then I'll go even to a party and then the only thing I could enjoy was the cake. Like I'm no longer drinking. So I guess I
Right.
replaced an addiction with another addiction, right?
Mhm.
And then plus all these other bad choices we make. Yeah. So I started making changes, like small changes like that, because I wasn't feeling well. But then in 2012, I got because my dad passed away at such a young age, 54, with complication of diabetes. Actually, get brain aneurysm, right? So then I would just had this say, hey, let me figure out what type 2 diabetes is. Because I had read a book in 2006 about type 2 diabetes. So I just was just curious. As you say, I
Mm.
guess we get to a point in our life, like we just start chasing the rabbits, like the rabbit hole. So for me, that's where
Yeah.
like, I was like, I couldn't let go. I was like, okay, what is this that type 2 diabetes? Then you find out heart attacks, then you find out cancer, then you find yourself like you can't get enough of it, right? But eventually everything comes back to like what we eat, how we live, those kind of things.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Because yeah, for those who are connecting today, my guest today is Eddy, a brother from Burundi,
Hello.
like myself. The topic today is the connection between health and our spiritual aspect of our lives. That's what we'll be talking
Mm.
about: health, lifestyle slash spirituality. Yeah. So before we dive in, well, so I guess the meat of the conversation. But it sounds funny because I know you're plant based. So I guess I guess before we dive into the avocado
Yeah.
of the conversation.
The, the guaca. Yeah.
Yeah. So because you published a book recently, you've got it as spiritual surgery. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a bit more about the book and why the title is spiritual surgery and what led you to writing the book?
Yeah. Thank you, Masa, for mentioning the book. The reason why I wrote the book, Spiritual Surgery, is because, first of all, I believe in going within to find yourself, right?
Mhm.
It's what everybody's been saying for thousands of years, right? There's no way we're going to ever find answers to anything, really, out here, because everything that we see out here comes from within anyway. All the ideas, all the beliefs, they all come from here, right? So I was supposed to write a book about myself and all the experiences I've had, but I realized it was going to be like 400 pages. Nobody reads a 400-page book anymore unless it's
Yeah,
unless it's
very,
a
very late.
fictional, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, So I said, you know what? I like poetry, art. I'm more of an artistic person because that's since I was a kid, I was into arts, music, writing. So I realized if I put the spiritual surgery in my poetry, at least it can penetrate somebody's mind and affect them from within, right? Because what we read, what comes in through all the senses, we become, right? Isn't that what they say? What
Yeah.
you take in, regardless if it's through your mouth, your skin, or your ears, it's going to become your reality, right? So
Yeah.
what's in this book is um, connecting to our true self, right? The forgotten self, which is the spiritual self that we cannot see with our eyes, right? You know that voice that tells you, go there, do this, and you follow it or you don't, right? They call it intuition or the sixth sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I came to write this book. It's a book to remind you of connecting back to yourself and raise the vibration or the frequency so that you can see things before they happen. For instance, in your dreams, right? Which is something that a lot of people call like deja vu, but in reality, it's just your real self trying to connect back to you so that you can be in alignment, right? Because we are
Mm-hmm.
very, very out of alignment with nature, with God, whatever people want to call it, the universe, right? So I'm
Yeah.
trying to find a way to bring people back to this alignment so that you don't have to look outside for anything because everything is in us, right? There's a place inside of you that is waiting for you to tap into so that it can remind you about everything, right?
Yeah.
In nature, there's no creature in nature that asks any other creatures about how to live.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed? A lion
Yeah.
knows exactly how it's
What?
going to live, whether it's
Yeah.
a small cub or a big one. A zebra the same way, right? They
Yeah.
don't have any instructions. They just
Mm-hmm.
start going. We are the only creatures that have to go to school and learn how to live. And look at us now.
That's very
Right?
interesting. Yeah, because you're supposed to be the smartest of the creatures,
Exactly. Yeah.
but somehow we have forgotten. I guess what I call the basics, like the basics
The
to
basics, the
how to live.
fundamentals.
Yeah.
Yeah, the basis.
Yeah, so that's very interesting that you're combining poetry with the message. Yeah, so for you, for instance, like uh, how do you like in your terms or in your perspective, how do you define like spirituality? Like how like what is spirituality to you? Or because
That's a good question.
people might have different like take on it, different perspectives. So to set the stage a little bit, I have my
Exactly.
own understanding. I probably share as well. Uh,
Mm,
I had what I would say, I guess, those experiences of deja vu or awakening, where something just you're just there and then just clicks, and then you're like,
exactly.
why, like it's so amazing. Like it's very difficult to put in words, because then we like for instance, we talked about eating like fruits. So when I was doing my research, start changing the way I eat, cutting red meat, those kind of things. Um, and then I started seeing people on YouTube eating lots of fruits, things like that. But then I was scared to eat fruits, right?
Mm,
Because there's if you Google, there's so much so much information saying bad things about fruits. But then one
mm.
day it hit me. I'm like, hey, like when I was growing up in Burundi, like I remember like in our backyard we had like six trees of fruits. We had like mangoes, papaya, oranges, lemon, avocado. So that's in our own backyard. But then
Everything.
then then the
Everything.
then the neighbors. And I remember like summertime, like kids when we're not going to school. Like sometimes we spend an entire day just stealing fruits from the neighbors, Like for instance, I don't know how you say it in English. I'm a pera, right? So for instance, we
Guava.
had guava, yeah. So for instance, us
Yeah.
we didn't have guava, so it's like like we will strategize where can we get the fruits we don't have. Let's say if it's like five of us, say okay, you have
Mm,
papaya, you have mango, oh, we have guava missing. Oh, we know this place there's guava, right? And then we go
mhm,
still, and then we'll spend a whole day eating fruits. So then one day I
mhm.
was just sitting there and then he hit me. I'm like, that's what we did. So why am I even afraid of fruits? Why am I even trying to figure out all the scientific things behind it?
Mhm.
But when I was eating pizza, when I was drinking alcohol, like I
Never
didn't do any,
question.
I didn't do any research. I didn't do any, right? I didn't
Right.
consult any
Yeah.
expert. See,
No.
so as you said, the alignment, it just clicks and then a new whole world just opens up. You're like, whoa. Just,
Yeah.
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 So tell us a little bit for you, like spirituality and from your perspective.
Just to get any to make it clear,
Yeah.
when people hear spirit, they see a boogeyman in the sky, right? They,
Hmm.
they fantasize about something. Basically, it has to be sci-fi, superficial stuff. But in
Okay.
reality, spirit only means the breath of life, right? It's actually the meaning behind it is the breath of life. Um, Anything you cannot see, touch, but you know it's there, is spirit. For instance, um, you've never touched a headache, but you can
Hmm.
tell someone feeling I have a headache, right?
Hmm.
So you tell it to says, wait, you have a headache. They can only imagine it, right? They cannot touch it. You can't bring it out of your head and just give it to them, right? That's also
Okay.
some form of spirit, right? It's a signal that is interpreted by your body, but you cannot see with your eyes, right? The same thing with anger, emotion, fear, love, all of that is spirit. If you tell someone, I love you, or if you feel love for someone, you cannot in any way, shape, or form prove it to them, right? Sure, you can do physical things, but it's still not the love you're feeling, right? So,
It's a representation of what you're feeling. Like
exactly,
you might give somebody a gift, but it's like you do a painting of a mountain. It's not the mountain, but
exactly,
you can communicate to somebody the mountain you saw,
exactly.
for instance. Yeah, okay.
So spirit is the step before the physical, right? Just like you come into the physical body, you first you are a spirit, and then you become a human being. Yes. So anything you cannot see, touch, or feel physically feel is spirit. That's what I want people to understand. It has nothing to do with Satan or it's going to come and get you or or some angels, right? No, no, no. All of those things are just representations, as you just said, of the unseen, right? The
Hmm.
unseen, right? It has nothing to do with good or bad, right? It can be negative and positive,
Okay.
but the connotations are up to the individual. So spirituality to me is when you see what is unseen, right? You can feel what has been taken from you from the beginning. There are things that we are supposed to be seeing and feeling, but it's been cut off, right? It's just like
Hmm.
all the senses have been saturated so much, um, to a point where we are almost not human anymore, right? Because we are busy with the physical reality so much that we forget that there's another part of us
Yeah.
needs us to listen. And when do we listen to this? Is when we get sick or when we're in trouble. That's the only time people sit down and say, "Wait a minute, I need to slow down."
Hmm.
How come? Right? Your body knows when you have gone so far out that you need to come back to yourself. You've noticed that when you are in trouble, you sit in a room alone. How come?
Yeah. So it's like we have, I don't know if I should call it the instinct, but it's like we have that thing that can actually pulls you to like back, I don't know how to explain that.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah,
but
it's like a recalibration system, right?
yeah,
And that's the natural self. Um, Going back, because everything vibrates, right?
yeah,
For instance, when you wake up in the morning, you're vibrating on a different frequency than when you go to sleep, right? Or, in the middle of the day. It has to do with something called brain waves.
yeah,
Been studying this stuff for a little while now. Um, there's a brainwave called beta, which is what we are in right now, communicating, talking, socializing, right? More external. It's the frequency that we operate in the social life, work. Sometimes when this beta, when we maintain it for too long, right? Because of chasing the next thing, it becomes low frequent beta. And that's when stress comes in, anxiety, and negative thoughts, right? They're maintained for too long. And when we take that to bed, you wake up with that multiplied because you don't sleep. Most people think they go to sleep, but it's not true. They are knocked out. Have you noticed
yeah.
that a lot of people they go to sleep right after TV?
Or
That's
after
the only
or,
time they go to
or
sleep, right?
after big meal.
Well, after exactly, they're looking for
The,
something to
yeah,
hit
the
'em.
yeah, because I looked into that when I was like just researching nutrition, like the food coma. Most people in the food coma, like
Exactly,
like no different than somebody who takes some shots of whiskey so they could sleep.
exactly. So
Yeah,
you are not sleeping. You have been suffocated. And when you go to sleep under this influence, right? Let's call it an influence.
yeah,
You can't dream because dreams are in a different frequency, right? So you are between socializing and actually death. So the stress never left. The body maybe is sleeping.
So, because I looked into the brainwave a little bit, I'll ask a few
Mm.
questions while on the topic. Um, so, so normally when we go to sleep, we're supposed to be in the theta waves, right? Or when we wake up.
That comes later. First, you leave beta and you go through alpha, which is relaxation,
Okay.
right? When you relax, that means you are leaving the beta frequency. When you have relaxed enough, then you enter into the theta frequency,
Okay.
right? It's a little deeper, it's a lot deeper, relaxed state where your mind is no longer fighting anything. It is
Yeah.
like a neutral, right?
Hmm.
They actually use this frequency in hypnosis because your mind is ready to be programmed and reprogrammed from all the
Yeah.
things that you've been through throughout the day or even your
Yeah.
life.
Because yeah. So we could break it down for people who are just hearing this for the first time. I can follow what you're saying because I kind of research into it because there's a book I read. Before I quit drinking, there's a book called The Da Vinci Method, not the Da Vinci Code, the Da Vinci Method, because actually he was explaining why some people are prone to be addictive. So for me, that's why I got introduced to the brainwave frequency at the first time. And at that time I started drinking because also I was trying to get off coffee, like I was trying to get off all these stimulants. Yeah,
Mm.
so then I started drinking mate. Mate, it's like a South American herbal tea, right? So because I was explaining some of those things, how they help you kind of relax. but eventually I learned a little bit more when I started doing water fasting. And I use that, for instance, when I'm studying new information, because like as you said, like, it's like you're trying to reprogram yourself. So I like to be in that kind of relaxed state, because I was able to connect when I was back in university. We'd be up late drinking coffee, you're stressed, and you're trying to study, but nothing's really going in.
No.
Because I remember one day there was this exam, like I really studied, right? But I went to the exam, my mind went blank. Actually, that time I was really worried. It's like I've never seen the topic. It's like I've never been in the class. Like the mind just went blank. Like I did so poorly in that exam. Like even the teacher couldn't understand it. Like what happened? It's like I don't know. My mind just went blank, right?
Yeah,
So I guess I was into that better stress, like
exactly.
yeah.
Anxiety.
So let's
Fear.
break it down for people who are just getting to this. So there's the alpha, no, so there's the beta. So that's like more like the higher frequency, like what we operate in, like when we're just hustling during the day. And then the alpha is when we kind of like relax, like maybe coming down. And then the theta waves. Is it like are we already asleep, or is just we're
Yeah,
already
theta is more meditative, right?
okay?
You've put your guns down, like you've given yourself to whatever is there to enter you, right? This
Mhm.
is actually religious stuff, right? Um, when you get to theta, you accept anything. If somebody comes and say you're stupid for 15 minutes, you wake up stupid because that's the belief frequency,
Mhm.
and that's where children operate on at the age of when they're still small, right? Before the age of
Yeah.
7,
Mhm.
they're in that state um, around the age of 7 to 12 or something. So whatever you tell them, they never question. They just take it. And they actually use this frequency in society as well to program our minds, right? Through music, through movies, everything, right? Repetition.
Yeah. So one way to get into that brainwave, like say meditation, um,
Right.
is there also like a frequency? Because there's something I looked into it. They talk about a frequency. There's a certain frequency because everything, as you say, is
Sound.
energy. The frequency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
How you enter theta is through relaxation, right? First,
mhm,
you admit that you just left the hustle, the as you said, the hustle frequency, which is beta. You sit down and relax your mind, right? Completely, like you leave everything behind.
yeah.
And then when all these things have left you, the stress, the anxiety, your eyes are closed, right? It's very important that the eyes are closed because what you see influences you, right?
Yeah.
So you have to close your eyes. You enter this alpha state, which is relaxation, lay down, and then you eventually you are welcomed into this new frequency, which is theta, which is a frequency of peace of mind. And when you get there, everything is reset, right? It's a reset frequency. And then when you go past that, there's another one called delta. It's
Mhm.
even deeper, right? That one comes when you have fallen asleep and you're no longer even know what's happening, right? And that's when you enter into a more like a spiritual reality. You are now in the clouds, like you can do things called astral travel, astral projection, right? But
Yeah.
that's a little too deep. The most important thing is theta. If you can get to this point
Yeah.
at will, you can change your life. You can change. You can stop smoking. You can stop drinking. You can stop any kind of things that are detrimental to yourself. They can go away, right? For instance, I was born left-handed, right?
Mhm.
But I grew up in Africa. They see, they look at certain things. It was in the 90s. Um, through religious eyes, right? So I went to this Catholic school where they believed that being left-handed was not, it was just weird, right?
Yeah.
Unnatural, correct? I believed it because I was in theta as a kid, yes? The frequency of theta. Basically, I took it in as in reality, and it took me 20 years to realize that it was not true. But to that point, I was already using my right hand. Are you following?
Mm-hmm.
So I became ambidextrous, which is good, but it was unnecessary. So in order for me to go back to being left-handed, I had to learn about the brain waves,
Okay.
right? So in order for me to return to my natural self, I use meditation, relaxation, and let it go of the past. I went to theta, for a good while on repeat every day to the point where my brain believed that, hey, this is actually who I am. And I actually use the same thing with changing my lifestyle, right? From the regular eating like a regular person to actually choosing what I want, how I want to live, right? You can do that. Let's say if something would take you 7 years, it can take only 7 months if you use theta frequency. If something would take you 15 years, you can use one year and a half. So that's actually something people should look into.
So on a practical sense, before I ask my question, yeah. So there's a question that came in. If you guys don't mind sending the questions in using the question box, so that way I
Yeah.
have the questions with me, because as people join, as the comments come in, like things keep going up, so it's very difficult to keep track of the questions and the comment as they come in. Yeah, so if you don't mind using the question box. Somebody says also to pin the topic. I'm really trying to figure out. I've done a few lives. I should know by now. I'm trying to figure out how to pin the topic.
I
Yeah.
see a question here.
Yeah. So the topic today is the connection between our health and the spiritual aspect of our life. Yeah. So that's the connection we're talking about, the spirituality and our health. Yeah. You see the question from elevated to live.
Wait a second. If I cover the camera, it's not because I don't want you to see me. It's because I see the question much better. Wait a
Okay.
second.
Yeah. It makes it better. Yeah. Okay.
I see the question says from elevated to life, right? To
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that we are in theta, which is the fastest? No, theta is actually not the fastest frequency. Beta is. Theta is low frequency. We are in alpha, in beta during the day, wakefulness, right? Wake state of moving, coming and going, what we should be in is more alpha state. That's where your body, mind is more in alignment. You are relaxed. Your cells are vibrating, more like homeostasis. And then from there, you can go into theta and actually program yourself as you want.
So you're going to
So
that
I
state
hope
like through meditation, or do you have other means you do it?
you can call it meditation because it's a
Oh,
state where you are just with yourself, right?
mm-hmm.
Or mindfulness, you can call it mindfulness, right? It's a
Okay.
place where you just chill and relax and let things happen on themselves, on their own, right? Because there's no way you're gonna heal your body or your mind while operating in beta. And it's not just when you are at work or you're catching a bus. You can be in beta even when you're sitting down because your mind is running, it's going.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people sit down and think, I'm relaxed, but you're not. Check yourself when you're eating you're holding a phone in your hand.
Yeah.
When you are in the bathroom, you still have a phone in your hand, right? You're thinking about bills, thinking about what if I get, there's always something negative in your mind happening. It's a survival mechanism, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That's how the system is built. It's built on fear and anxiety because that's how we survive. We are still
Yeah.
animals at some point.
So in a sense, is to find like I guess different tools that help us to kind of relax and then kind of like calm down our mind, so the mind kind of stops racing. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Because
The
one thing
war
I
inside must be.
Yeah, because one thing I did early on in my health journey, and it
Yeah.
had a huge impact on me because at that time I remember like I love news, I love politics, I love all this stuff. So I used to watch news, especially at night. So there was this French channel that will cover like African news, and then where I was used to come in, it was like a 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. Right.
Mm.
So pretty much I watched the news late, but also in the morning when I'm going to work, in the bus, there was a newspaper at that time in Winnipeg. They're trying to promote, so there used to be like a free newspaper in the bus, So I got to bed stressed because of these images I just consumed, and then in the morning, the first thing like, because I had this thing like in the morning, like I had to watch news, like especially when I was drinking coffee, like I could miss the bus, I didn't care, like well, I guess was that kind of my morning fix, but I guess it's more like feeding me again the addiction, right?
Yeah.
So then I realized, so I cut off the news at night.
Mm.
Actually, cut out TV completely in 2012, and I said I'll pick up the newspaper in the bus, but I said I'm not gonna read it until noon, right?
Uh-huh.
Those simple things. Then I realized like I start becoming happier. I'll walk into the bus and I'll say hello to the bus driver, right? So you start
Mm.
noticing these little things, uh, like it's amazing. Because now I did that because I already kind of knew about the frequency, the stress, and those kind of things. Uh, yeah. So I guess as we connect within, we also connect with the people around us. Like, so so would you also include, let's say, spirituality in this special connection we have with others around,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
people, nature, like what can you say about that? Like,
Can your question, you mean the connection between us and how it
oh,
affects the connection between us and others?
no, because I was trying to understand the topic, right? So when we learn how to
Yeah, yeah,
relax,
yeah,
right?
right.
So pretty much it's like we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to connect with ourself, right? Our true self,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So just curious. So as we connect with our true self, how does that translate with connecting with the things around us, like nature or people,
Yes.
or
Right.
like is there a connection? Is that related?
Absolutely. When you have come to a point where you're aligned with your true self, which they call the higher self,
Mhm.
you begin to become a lot more in harmony with everything, really. Um, your your knowledge of things comes naturally, right? Your common sense is much clearer. Um, you understand how wars and conflicts begin, right? You start realizing that what is out there is actually a projection of what's already inside, right? Because what we see is often how we feel. Have you noticed that? When you
Yeah.
feel a certain way during the day, everything else looks and feels the same way as you've been feeling in the morning. So you start realizing that the outside world is much like is at least 90% a reflection of you. And when you change this, this energy inside of you, you start to match people and things. If you wake up stressed, you meet stressed people most of the time, right?
Mhm.
But when you wake up on a frequency that is balanced, you tend, even if you meet someone who's stressed or someone who's impossible, as they say, they change. They adapt to your frequency because you're vibrating so high that they can't bring you down. They have to match you or go away, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely, it affects your relationship between yourself and everything else. The higher you vibrate, the higher your energy is, right? The more you affect your surrounding. And if you want to try this, give it away for 7 days, every single day. When your day is finished, go sit in a room that is dark. Close your eyes for 15 minutes or 5 minutes. Just breathe and then get up and do whatever you want to do, right?
Yeah.
For 7 days and watch what happens after that. Your life is not going to be the same. You're not going to be affected by anything. Things will come and you will see them completely different. Your vocabulary will change. The way you think will change. How you eat will change, right? Again, when it comes to nutrition, we have to understand that certain things that we put in our body can either raise us up or bring us down. You've noticed, everybody knows.
Yeah.
I've seen people who say, every time I eat pizza, I feel low, right? Or every time I eat a burger, or every time I drink this certain drink, I feel down, right? It's your body knows. It knows exactly what it needs, but to get there, it's like a quantum leap, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where relaxation it's like a bridge. When you vibrate in beta, low beta, so for so long, it becomes an identity, right? It becomes this, we attach to it because our friends are on it, our family is on it. It becomes a lifestyle. So every time you are relaxed, it feels like you are betraying a certain tribe because
Yeah.
it becomes trust, right? So when you start understanding this stuff, your way of thinking changes. What you put in your body, you start questioning why do I eat this? Why do I hang out with you? Why do I talk to this person? Right? They bring me down, just through words, because words are spells, words are frequency.
Do you say, do you say like your sensitivity increases? Because for me, what I notice is because of my health journey, because I made some changes, then I go to a point, I'll say, also my top, like, I was eating like pretty much fruits. I was pretty much like a fruitarian, 90% fruits. I was doing regular water fasting. I was doing meditation, right? And then something happened and I kind of slid back, gained some weight, ate pizza. So for me, I feel like there's a place where I lived before I started changing my lifestyle. Then I went to this space. Now, when I fell off, then I was able now to start connecting with what you're saying. Then you eat certain food, and then you immediately you see how it affects you. Like even your thoughts, like you start becoming negative. You start becoming but then you realize, yeah. So actually, how the food kind of. But then the thing I realize is also like it's like I pick up. It's like I became more sensitive. Like it's like I pick up
Yeah,
things. If I'm going for a walk, sometimes I go for a walk. Like I don't want to use my phone, right? But then it's like I'm like there's the wind, and it's like I'm picking up like even the leaves, like the wind, right? But also
yeah,
people. It's like I became sensitive, not in a bad way, but if somebody uses a word, uh, like I guess now we call it toxic, right? I feel it. It's like in the sometimes like we could be hanging out with people and then people go home, they're sad or they feel drained, but then they don't know why. But for me, I feel like I'm in a state where actually it's like I perceive it in the moment, because then I can just say, hey, this word you shouldn't use it with me, or you shouldn't say
exactly.
this, or you shouldn't, right? Like I don't know how to explain the so
Yeah, you're more connected to everything that you interpret things more like an energy in the sense of energy. You can see words, you can feel thoughts, right? For
Yeah.
instance, you can look at someone and you know exactly how they feel, right? It's because you're starting to connect more. Your senses are now aligned. You're no longer numb, right? Because foods and drinks can make us numb to emotions, right? It starts in the gut, right? They say gut is the second mind. I think it's the first mind because how you feel down here affects how you feel up here. Have you noticed that when your stomach is feeling bad, you can't think?
Yeah.
When you have constipation, your mind is gone. It's because the gut is the brain. The brain is the gut, right? All the nutrients that the brain needs. The brain needs sugar, right? Natural sugars. They all come from here, right? So
Yeah.
when we put something in the gut, it ends up in the brain. And we have something called the pineal gland in the center of our brain, right? What you just touched on right now. When you become more sensitive, you are now using your sixth sense, right? You can feel people's emotions. You can tell, you can hear what they're not saying, right? Because everything is energy.
Yeah.
When we talk, we are only regurgitating what has already been said. What I'm saying right now, you've already heard. It's just that you're not
Yeah.
focusing. Our words are thoughts, and our thoughts are emotions. So whatever I'm saying right now has already been said. It's just that I'm just verbalizing it, right?
Yeah.
So that's what spirituality is. You can actually hear what I'm saying right now before I say it if you are connected with the inner self, right? But this inner self is so disconnected. You know the pineal gland,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
It is what regulates hormones. It is what regulates our sleep and waking cycles, which is the brain waves again, right?
Yeah.
It's what the animals still have functional, what we don't have 100% functioning, right? That's why we get sick. That's why we can't sleep because it's not functioning as it should. That's where the melatonin comes from, and it is broken down into the bloodstream, and it regulates all the parts of our bodies, so we can sleep on time, so we can eat the right foods, right? When it's not functioning, you don't know what to eat.
Yeah.
Somebody else tells you what you see on TV is what you're gonna eat. But when this functions,
Or
thing,
whatever is available, that's what you eat.
that's what you eat because you're in survival mode, you're in beta.
Yeah.
When it functions, when it is in alignment, your body tells you, go get apples, bananas, mangoes, pineapples, right? But when it's off, you just want something that's going to match the beta frequency that you're vibrating, which is the very dense energy of
Yeah.
fear, anxiety, stress, and guilt, and
Yeah. So
pain. Because most
there's a
people are in pain of some kind.
yeah. So when we talk about pain, when I was a fruitarian and I was doing regular water fasting, I've done like many, like where I do 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, without eating anything, just drinking water. I've done a couple like when I do 7 days, just drinking water. So I realized things were like really. I never really talk to people because it might be strange. Let's say I might be
Mm.
walking like summertime and like like the way people say like how you call it informe like informe like I don't know how you call it in English for me
Mm.
like those like
Ants?
people are better about ants, yeah, right. So
Yeah.
I got to a point, for instance, if like summertime, like you'll see like an ant and then I'll feel
Mm.
bad if I'm gonna step on it. Like
Right. See,
it was so weird. Like it's like so
it was
it's
a
like I feel like,
connection.
right? But then it's such a tiny animal. But the moment I saw it, like I'm not gonna step on it. Like, I just step on the side, right?
Yeah. It's
Like
it's
it's
awareness, the expansion of your awareness. You become more aware of things around you and inside of you. So if you're thinking about the life of an ant, that means you're beginning to expand your spectrum, because our spectrum is this much, right? What we see, what we know, is because we've been told by school, religion, parents, neighbors, right? But when we start looking inside, more and more begins to come, right? You start thinking about, things that no one else is questioning. They call it the awakening, right?
Yeah.
Why do I eat? Why do I drink this? Why do I talk? Why do I use these words? Why do I sleep like this? When you start questioning, then more freedom, but also more pain, because the more you know, the more
Yeah,
lonely,
because
right?
I become lonely because you experience things that you can't really talk to people because they wouldn't understand. Like as you say, like for instance, in 2015, right? Like just out of nowhere, like you question things. Like I was doing my meditation, so I decided to lie down, just lie down on my back, and then it was supposed to be like 10, 15 minutes. I think I fell asleep or something like that, but it was in the middle of the afternoon. Then I wake up. I'm still like lying on my back, and then it hit me. I'm
Mm,
like, I'm lying down, like it feels so uncomfortable. Then why do I sleep on the bed? You see? Then
mm,
then I said, hey, let me try to spend the night on the floor, right?
yeah,
Like since 2015, I haven't looked back. I just sleep on the floor. Like I need a hard surface to sleep on, right? That
hmm,
experience, that experience alone is very difficult to share with people, tell people, because how do you even bring up that, right? So as you say, I guess
yeah,
it brings more pain, like, because it's like you find yourself like you're not becoming antisocial, but you just find like I guess you are careful who you talk to, who you hang around with, like the things you
mm,
do, like yeah. So we'll talk about the pain of that. That's why I love talking
yeah.
to you because we've gone so many topics. Yeah, I'll have you
I
back
saw
as well. Yeah,
I saw a
yeah,
question here from Random Fit Moms. She said, "How should we prepare to go to sleep?"
yeah.
It's a good question.
Before you answer that, and then there's another question.
Hmm.
Yeah, for those who are connecting, the topic today is the connection between our health and our spiritual aspect of our lives. The guest today is Eddy, a brother from Burundi as well. He has a book, Spiritual Surgery. Uh, yeah, so that's what we've been talking about it. Yeah, somebody asked what on the floor. No, I was just saying that I sleep on the floor. Like I don't sleep on a mattress on a bed. Uh, yeah.
That's
So
really good, actually.
yeah. So yeah, because as you said, you I guess you as you said, like it expands. Like you question a lot of things, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So I have so many little like so many little things I've done in my life, like, but it's very difficult to explain to people. But for you, it's like you question. For me, it was like at that moment, I was like, why do I even sleep on the bed, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But then another thing I found, I don't know if it's related, is yeah, you question a lot, but also have less fear of trying things or going a certain direction, right?
Exactly.
I don't know if
You
it's kind
break
of
the
related
boundary.
to the. Hmm?
Yeah, you break the boundaries. I mean, if you start questioning things that was supposed not to be questioned, you're free now. You have broken like the chains, right? The first fear is sugar, right? The second fear is meat eating. The third is alcohol, right? And then you start questioning everything else. And when you get to that point, you're free. You can do anything you want, right? You are no longer in a cage, right? Um, what was the question?
Okay, you could. Um, I'm trying to figure out how this Instagram works. So there was a question that came before. The person was asking, if I remember, because the question just disappeared in my question box. So the person was asking
Hmm.
to retouch the. Oh, hi everyone. This is part two. The part one ended. I don't know why. Yeah, Instagram is not allowing me to do more than 1 hour. Yeah, so apologize. Normally, I'll get a notification saying that the live is about to end. So gonna continue the discussion with our guest Eddy. Yeah, sorry I got disconnected, but part one is already saved. For those who missed it, you'll be able to watch it. Yeah, so let me invite Eddy again. So we're gonna continue with the discussion. So anybody who had asked a question in the question box, you could send it again. I do apologize. There's one question I kind of remember what the question was about, and then I'll be asking Eddy when he comes back. Yeah, so the topic today is the connection between our health and our spiritual aspect of our life. Okay, thanks guys for reconnecting. Yeah, Instagram ended my live after 1 hour. I don't know what happened. Usually, it will give me like a notification that the live is about to end. Maybe I missed it. Yeah, so I'm waiting for our guest again to reconnect, Eddy. Yeah, if you have questions, please send your questions. You could use the comment sections or you could use the question box. The question box is easier, so that I could keep track of the questions. I don't miss them. Yeah, so I hope you're learning something new. I hope you're better understanding this aspect of spirituality when it comes to our health. That's something we don't talk about it. We don't hear about most often. Yeah, so waiting for a guest to come back. Okay. I don't know why he's saying he can't connect. Let me try again. Yeah, thanks guys for connecting again. Yeah, we're gonna continue the discussion. This is part two. Yeah, part one I got disconnected with Instagram. So I guess we already did 1 hour. Can you hear me, Eddy?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, great. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so there's a question in the question box. I kind of remember. So he was asking to kind of re-explain the food density. I guess he was asking about the food density, and then he talked about the connection environment, and then when we talked about the dream. Yeah, so it was quite a long question, but unfortunately I lost it in the question box. Maybe, yeah, I don't know if you see what he meant. I'm sure it was a long question. So he was talking about food. He was saying, can we retouch on food density? And then in parentheses, which he was talking about food, environment. So I guess the whole essence was, I guess, the food density, and also, I guess, in relation to our dreams, I guess.
Right. Well, let's see if I can put this in simple terms. As a human being, you need to eat, right? You need to put fuel in your body in order to function. Now, your day is split up in what? 2 day and night, right? But also, there's a time to socialize, which when you go to school, go to work, right? You are expected to perform a certain way. You need energy and also other things. But first, you need energy, because if you don't show up, then you don't exist, right? So what is it? What's fueling your body right now? They say you need carbohydrates, sugars, water, and so on. But you find that most things that we put into our body to run it throughout the day are things that are actually slowing us down. Why? If what we put in our body has less water than we have in, than we need, that means we're going to use even the water that we have inside of us to process it. So basically, we are stealing from ourselves on a daily basis. Now, you do that for 9 years, you have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So during the day, if you are consuming things that take from you, that means when you go to sleep, you cannot reach a certain level of homeostasis because your body recovers during sleep, right? When you get to theta and delta, you're going into healing frequency, what they call the healing recovery frequency, right? But we never get there because the body is so shaken, it cannot go past alpha. We are in fear, right? And what reinforces the fear is the lack of oxygen in the cells, in the brain, and also enough hydration. When you are dehydrated, you can't think. You can't breathe properly. Most people breathe from here. Have you noticed?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do that too when I'm afraid.
So how are we supposed to breathe?
You're supposed to breathe to a point where there's no thought coming into your head. That's when you know you're breathing. You know when you breathe, you start feeling good. Your face starts to smile for no reason.
Mm-hmm. So is it like doing like a big...
You are going to feel it here. You are more relaxed here. Your shoulders are down, right? And your face changes. And even if you meet a stranger, they think you're smiling. But when you're breathing from here, your face is more like this. Why? Because you're in your head. You're thinking about your boss, your ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, right? And whenever you look at someone, they think you're angry. And what happens is they respond with the same energy. And before you know it, you have created a third entity between you and people. And during the day, you have created so many demons, right? They call demons negative energy. And it comes back, right? And how do you break these things? It's through breath, which is spirit, right? When you breathe the right way, from the diaphragm, through the lungs, you're breaking spells throughout the day. And when you go to sleep, your brain has learned that, wait, we breathe properly, so we don't even have to relax more than necessary. You can just sit down. You've trained during the day. When you sit down like this, you can pass over, right? It's like they call it Passover. It's actually what the Bible calls Passover. When you go from hell to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Hell is when right? Heaven is when, see?
Yeah,
you go from...
because I came up to my own understanding, I guess my own questioning and research. Because for me, I came to a point when I say to myself, like hell and heaven is here on earth, right? It's actually it's actually how, because for me, what prompted me, I guess it's more like a philosophical quest as well. Because like sometimes when people say, "Oh, if God exists, why do we?" Maybe that's a big tangent. Maybe we can come back to it one day. Because I also try to do a little bit of philosophy, trying to question. I guess philosophy is all about questioning. I guess. Because I was trying to answer to myself this question. People say, so if God exists, why do babies get sick, those kind of things? And for me, I came to my own conclusions where I say, a baby might be sick and suffering. They say they're suffering physical pain, right? Or something might fall on a baby, or they might break a leg, right? But for me, I came to understand is even if the baby is in pain physically, I don't think they're suffering the way us adults we suffer, from our mind, right? From our past experiences, from our past, where we have in this constant, constant state or stress, where, right? We keep reliving, right? So for me, I came to a conclusion that yes, maybe a baby is suffering, let's say, on a physical level, but I don't think they're suffering on on this other
mental.
level, where like the mental, like us. But that's a big
Mm.
tangent. I guess we're going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. That's a good one. I was saying, when we pass over
yeah,
from the left, actually, there's something called left brain consciousness and the right brain consciousness. That's why I always wear t-shirts like this. When we are in beta, the low frequency, the low beta, we're vibrating from the left side of the brain, which is survival mode, right?
hmm
Hustling and uh, success, right? Everybody's about success now in everything, right? We need to
hmm
succeed. We need to compete. We need to take over. This mentality, this spirit, this energy needs to be maintained. It is not bad, right? We need it, right? We need to socialize and do things physically. But when we get to a point where we forget that it's supposed to be this much, it becomes this much and takes over our lives. We are supposed to be beings, not doings, right?
hmm
We spend most of our time doing rather than
being.
exactly. So when you do too much, you forget that you are a being and you fall into this robotic system.
hmm
And that's where problems begin. We forget that we are humans. That's why we need to always remember that doing is this much and being should be this much. And when we flip this over, we get sick, unhappy, we start wars, and we destroy environment. And how does this affect us as a collective? I think that guy was asking about how our daily choices somehow become a collective issue on the
Yeah,
spiritual level. Absolutely. I mean, everything is energy, right? For the past 10, 15, 20 years, I've been paying attention to people of um, all kinds of backgrounds, nations. They all have one thing in common. They feel enslaved as individuals. Doesn't matter who you are. I've come to realize that every human being on earth has one thought in their head. They think they feel as a slave. And there's a reason, right? Because everything you do is not benefiting you.
hmm
You've seen your father go to work, you've seen your mother go to work, you went to school, you realize school was lying to you, right? You
yeah.
realize the system is also, lying about so many things ever since, you know, Jesus' time, right? When people start realizing this, they realize, holy God, we are actually, we've played ourselves. Everything we do is not benefiting us, which means it's not benefiting the planet, and then it comes back in a different form. We've done this ourselves.
Yeah.
That's why people are starting to wake up on a daily basis thinking, maybe I should change something, right? It seems like it's like there's one person on earth split in many bodies because we've been living the same way. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can be from Brazil, South Africa, the same wheel, trapped in something you don't know, you don't like. You hate your job, you hate your relationship, you hate your country, the country you live in or your country. There's no
You hate
peace
the
of
weather.
mind.
You hate the weather. You hate.
Exactly, everything. You don't like anything. You just want to go somewhere else. So that means there's something
like,
happening
like
inside.
here, like winter comes, we complain it's too cold. Summer comes, we complain it's too hot. It rains, we say it's raining, and then we say it's too dry.
Exactly. So basically, there's something not going right. Right? We are the only species who wear clothes and shoes, and still we want 5 shoes, 3 t-shirts, right? There's this wheel that never ends. You need a bigger car, bigger TV, bigger house, better wife, better husband. Something always pulling you to this beta mindset, right?
Yeah.
How do you free yourself from this?
hmm
Because everybody wants to be free. We are all we are all victims of this thing. It runs the
Yeah.
system, and
So,
that's
because
where
yeah, huh?
eating
Yeah,
better, meditating comes in. When you start eating certain foods that have water in them, water is life,
yeah,
right? Everything has, everything is water. Even the body is at least 80%, according to science, the body is at least 80% water. When you can make sure that what goes into your body has water, your body doesn't have to use its own water to get rid of toxins. You are helping it. You
hmm,
keep it hydrated. When your body is hydrated, you're in homeostasis. Your cells work better. Your mind is clear. Your gut is free, right? It's simple, but what makes it hard is that first step in the morning. That's the only thing.
yeah. Yeah, so that's some really deep stuff. I guess for the people who are joining today, today the topic is the connection between our health and the spiritual aspect of our life. This is part two. Part one has already been saved on my profile. Yeah, so we're just exploring this topic. So let's. Oh, there's another question that you read in the comment section before you got disconnected. I don't know if you remember what it is because I didn't see that
From
one.
from random Fit Moms,
Okay.
she
Hmm.
said, how can we how can we go to bed? How can we prepare to go to bed, to go to sleep?
Okay, yeah. Hmm.
The best the best way. There's no one fit all system, but you have to understand that there are stages. You have to understand that before you go to bed, you are in a certain frequency or um, mindset. You've had fights during the day. You've done so many things with people. Maybe you are a little scared or anxious, guilty, right? That's a big one. It's a big one. And a lot
Yeah.
of people go to bed with guilt. And so many times we think
Uh,
that guilt is we think that guilt is when you've
I
made someone else feel bad. But really, guilt can be that you said yes to something you should have said no to.
Yeah, I've
That's a big
experienced
one.
I've experienced that.
You get a
Like,
deal and you want to say no, damn it, but you say yes and you go to sleep
yeah,
like this all night, right?
yeah. So something I've learned this year, I guess since last year of summertime, it just I've been going back to things. I'm like, hey, sorry, man. I said I was gonna do this, but
Yep.
I overpromised. I've been cutting down projects, commitments,
Yeah.
because I realized it was
So
really eating me up. Like you say yes to something that's supposed to be good, but then you realize like I don't have time. But then it eats you up because like it's like
yeah. So
yeah,
guilt is number one, and what guilt does, right? It sits here in the solar plexus, right, or the sacral chakra. It's these seven seals that we have in our body. It's what the Bible calls the rod of Moses or Jacob's ladder. We have to climb it in order to get to heaven, which is where everything comes from. Everything comes from our mind, right? But when we have guilt, we can't even get to the heart chakra, which is the gateway to heaven. So
mhm.
this well is designed to keep you where? Down here. Survival mode, fear, pain, guilt, anger, hate, right? There's so much hate in the world, so much guilt, and so much pointing fingers. They did this, they did that, right? No one is looking inside so that we can rise above this point of guilt and shame and fear,
Yeah,
which is what meditation does. It helps you rise from
yeah,
this thing.
yeah,
So when you go to sleep, you have to ask yourself, number one, What state am I in this evening? Do I feel guilt? Do I feel shame, fear, pain, anxiety, stress? Maybe stress, you can put that on the side because it's always gonna be there. You need that to a certain extent. But if you feel guilt and shame, that means you said yes to something you should say no to. You hurt someone, or somebody hurt you and you didn't forgive them. See, that also causes what? Guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Not letting go of something you should, just say, you know what? It's okay. You owe me $100. You can have it. Right? Sometimes people owe you something and you hold on to it. That's also a form of guilt. That's how you prepare to go to bed. You discharge. Right? Is that a word? Yeah.
Yeah.
Free yourself from these attachments. When you have put them on side, it's even better if you can put it on paper. Right? You sit down for 5 minutes and say, today I met this person, they made me feel this way. I was angry for a minute, but now I realize it doesn't matter. Check. That's freedom right there. You free your mind. It's called peace of mind. You create peace of mind. And then you check shame. Do I feel shame? Wait a minute. What makes me shameful today? Or maybe it's something that happened before. And you look at it and say, wow, it is affecting me on an emotional level, maybe psychological level.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to sleep, that means you are honest with yourself. You can now go in a relaxed state, which is alpha, and then it takes you to theta without any baggages, right? You don't have anything with you. Then you can program your mind as you want. Everything you wrote on paper becomes what the brain believes because there's now space.
Mm-hmm.
Before there was guilt, shame, fear, pain, anger, anxiety.
So one tool you're saying is so before you go to bed, it's like do like an assessment of the day. Try to see where you're feeling guilt. Try to see where you're feeling shame.
Emotional level, yeah.
On the emotional level, and then try to write it down. Like so kind of like a deal with the day and be done with it before you go to bed.
Because going to bed is actually going to the temple of God. Mm-hmm. That's where your body heals itself, cleanses itself based on what you put into it during the day. So if you have a lot of heavy foods, right, toxic foods and drinks and stuff, plus the guilt and the shame and the fear, now the body's going to process what? Poison.
Okay.
It has nothing to work with.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fighting. That's where people get sleep paralysis, nightmares. They say they have demons chasing them, but in reality, it's just.
There's something I've talked about. Maybe we could touch that in a second about bad dreams. But before we move on, so how do we prepare to go to bed? For me, some of the things also I've noticed, as you said, that we talked about earlier, right? Is to make sure you actually close your eyes, make sure there's no light coming in the room, exactly. because if you have light coming in, or if you because it affects, I guess, your melatonin, your hormone production, right? Because when it's completely dark, circadian rhythm, right? So things like that. Try to see what kind of background noise is there. Maybe some people might live close to a highway or close to traffic. So what do you think of, because some of the things I've used is to play music. I go, let's say on YouTube, what they call the sleep music. So I guess they're supposed to be in the theta and delta waves. So does that help into kind of bring your relaxation to that state? Because we said it's a frequency, right? Because you said music, sound can bring us into that, right?
Okay. Yes, it's a good beginning. If you can use these sounds as a tool to find the frequency, absolutely, it can help in the beginning. But it shouldn't be something that you get attached to because your body knows what it needs to tune itself to, right?
Okay.
You shouldn't be you shouldn't depend on external things too much because when you don't have them, you don't know what to do. You can't
Okay.
relax. Okay?
Okay.
So sure, use
It's like a fix, but better than having a glass of wine, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess it's in a better. I guess it's in a. You're getting closer, I guess. To so somebody put a comment
Yes,
here from Hoodman. Hey, Hoodman, if you're not coming on the live, share some of your thoughts as well, because you seem also to have some knowledge on this area. Because it says that an harmonious due to
exactly. Yeah,
YouTube's
I mean,
YouTube.
it's a machine, right?
Okay. Well, what does that mean? And harmonious? Like it means they're not true like theta and delta waves, or
They're altered in some way because of the frequencies of of the machine.
so is it the same? For instance, because there's some audio files I bought, which is supposed to be
Mm.
delta and maybe Hoodman, you could also answer this if you have any insights. So would that be the same thing? Let's say if I'm playing an audio.
Mm.
There's this company, they specialize, I guess they do some meditation stuff. So I bought some audio files, some sounds, which is supposed to be, would that be the same problem with YouTube? Or could that be a bit better? Should I play those more than the actual
It's
YouTube?
probably better. But let me tell you something. The closest thing you can get to perfect frequency is when you play like a sound ball. You know what that is?
A
There's
sound?
this ball, this
Okay.
bowl, right, that
Okay.
makes sounds. Just hit it and it makes
Or
different sounds, right? If
more,
you
more
have
like the
those,
more like the monks. Like I see they do like things like
exactly, yeah, yeah,
doom doom. Okay.
exactly. Those things can actually help way better than anything else. But I can tell you that you have a sound inside of you
Okay.
that can actually tune your mind and spirit better than anything else. And it is the sound of your own mouth.
Also making sounds. Okay.
Yes, you can tune your own body using your own sounds.
So, for instance, like, because I've seen sometimes like people do meditation or they do things like, is that what you're talking
Exactly.
about?
That sound is actually the sound of nature. Like bees, when you're quiet in a room, you will hear the sound in your head. It goes right on its
Okay.
own, on its own, without even making a sound. You hear it like when you're underwater, right? You hear that sound is actually the sound of God. That's what they call God's voice. If you can listen to that, which is scary, because when you are alone, you start thinking,
Yeah.
right? Thoughts come through, right? Somebody said something 20 years ago, your mom, your dad, right? These things. But if you can do that more and more and more, they're gonna go away because your sound, your own sound, natural sound is gonna take over. It becomes less and less scary. You can sit down with yourself. Absolutely, if you want to use YouTube, sounds, anything you want, sing, or just listen to anything that helps you relax your shoulders.
Yeah.
Because
So
how do
that's
you
good.
know you are
Like
not relaxed?
making my own sounds. I'll be doing that. It's much better than. Yeah, because
Absolutely, it's gonna heal your body.
there's an experiment I did in 2016, summer 2016. I did 7 days fasting on water. But
Mm,
also what I did at that time, like I didn't talk to anybody, like I didn't talk to any single human being. Like I'll go for long walks if I
mm,
have energy. But also that time, like I wrote a lot. Like I had piece of papers like all over the apartment. Like I was just writing. And and I think something happened from that point, because as you were saying, like that things come to you like that sometimes people ask me like how do you know which topic to research, how do you know, how did you learn about this, like it's hard to explain. It's I don't know, like it's sometimes it's like I open
you just
YouTube and
know.
then there's there's a certain video or 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 I read something and then it's like my brain perceives or processes like differently. I've been trying to do that experiment again, but I've been failing. I've been able to water fast, but I'm still I'm addicted to the phone. Like I haven't been able to say like I'm gonna do like 5 days where like no phone,
I
no talking
think
to
you tapped,
somebody.
Oliver, I think you tapped into synchronicity
Hmm.
when you just know things, they come to you, right? You wake up in the morning and you start writing, and you don't know why you are writing certain things. It's like you become a channel or something, right?
Yeah.
Or you think about something and it happens right after, right? That means your third eye is opening. It's what they call the pineal gland. When it opens, you have aligned this ladder, right? You're now tapping into your environment energetically. You can feel people's emotions. You can know things. Just it's called inner knowing, right?
Hmm.
And it happens when your gut is clean. You said that you fasted for a month, something.
Yeah, I've done the longest I've done is 7 days. I've done it a couple times, but I've done
Yeah,
many like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days water fasting. And
exactly.
also early on my early health journey, I've done a lot of cleansing of the colon. I've done water enemas, I've done hydrotherapy, like,
Mm.
and then when I was a fruitarian, like now, like I fell off, but because of that experience, I was there in the ice phase for 2, 3 years, right? So now that became my reference. I'm slowly going back in there because now I can
Mm.
feel how disconnected I became. Like for instance,
Yeah.
we can branch into the for instance bad dreams, right? Because I realized when I was in that like in that period of my life, I never had bad dreams. But
No,
when
you
I
don't.
start when I start feeling like start eating bad food, the pizza and the chocolate, then I'll have bad dreams. Like bad dreams like either there's a war, somebody wants to kill me,
Yeah.
or I want to, or I'm trying to kill someone, right? Like, so how would you explain? Because for me it's like
Yes.
because I grew up in a certain way, like the way most people grew up, and then I've changed. I went to a level of say like I think most very few people get there. Like I'm literally I was living on fruits. I cut out a lot of bad, like no negative stuff, no right, like meditating, like, drinking distilled water, and all this like I guess my vibration was a certain level. Then I fell
Mm.
off. Then that's when it started hitting me. I'm like, I can remember the last time I had a bad dream. Right? So sometimes I experiment. I'd be like eating
Mm.
pizza. I'm like, but then I start using my. So when I was falling off, let's say I'm eating pizza. Now instead of hating, I'm eating pizza. And then I'll start saying, okay, let me see if I'm going to have a bad dream in the next 2 or 3 days. And then it will happen. Then you have a bad dream. Right? So how do you explain the bad dream? I guess also the question the person was asking, I guess the food density, like the
Mm.
dreams, like because we said if we are not in the I guess in the theta and delta, we don't have dreams,
Mm.
right? If was
No,
that correct? Right.
exactly. You
So
can't. You can have like nightmares, like oof, you know, in
yeah.
fear all the time. Listen, and the reason why people get bad dreams is because of the guilt I was telling you about, the fear. If you
Hmm.
go to sleep with guilt and fear, you are chased.
Okay.
You give yourself, you. It's like you make yourself available to that kind of energy, right? Because you are guilty. That's why you're being chased, and something tries to kill you, or you're trying to kill something.
Yeah, like sometimes I'm flying, I'm like
When you when
over.
you right
Yeah.
when you go to sleep in a place of peace of mind, what do you see? Great stuff, beautiful things happen
Hmm.
to you. You even see things before they happen. When you wake up in the morning, you meet Johnny or John, and you go, "Oh, well, I saw you in my dreams last night. I didn't know I was going to meet you." Right? It's because you're not aligned. If I tell you things that I see before they happen, I've shared, things in my own experiences and also on a global scale. They happen in my dreams, and then they happen in the world. And when I tell my friends, didn't I tell you about this 2 years
Hmm.
ago? They go, holy shit, how is that possible? There's nothing special about me. It's just that I'm in alignment with the real timeline. We are late, because we're in bodies. We are always late. Light is so fast that things happen and we just catch up to them, right? Everything that happens right now has happened already. Because, for instance, the sunlight that gets to the earth is not the same light that left the sun, right? Isn't that what science says?
Yeah, because it takes time. It takes time to travel to get to us. Yeah.
So that means we are living in the past.
That's interesting because I remember
Right?
when I was doing physics, and then they were talking about those kind of things. Yeah, because the teacher was saying like it's like I don't remember how you put it. It's like if you could go at a certain speed, right?
You
And
catch yourself, right?
you catch yourself. Yeah, exactly. Like
So basically, we are so strong that everything that happens has already happened.
yeah. So in high school, it's very difficult to kind of. But now I'm starting seeing like yeah. I guess
Yeah,
it's also like yeah.
it's
It's very interesting.
vibration, vibration.
Yeah.
So if you
No,
have
because
bad dreams, it has to do with the frequency in which you spent your day and how you went to bed. If you are in fear, that means, oh, am I going to lose my job? How am I going to pay for my car? Is my wife or husband going to leave me? My children don't respect me. All these things, they become heavy and they keep you down here in a survival mode. And your survival mode is connected to the left brain, the left side of your brain, which is survival, processing,
yeah.
socializing. We need to move into the which side? Wait, from your angle, is this the left brain or the right brain? Which is
I don't know. Instagram has like a funny way of
um
even if I say my left, we could just say left or right because even if I say my left, I
anyway,
don't know if it's your.
yeah.
I don't know
So
if
we need
yeah.
there are two aspects of you. There's hell and heaven, right? Let's see if we can see it. Can you see it? You are two aspects. There's heaven, which is
Okay.
the upper side, upper part, and there's
Mm-hmm.
hell or downhill. When you fall from grace is
Okay.
when you live down here. And when you live down here, you
Mm-hmm.
operate from the left side of the brain. You're thinking about survival most of the time. How much
Like say from the midsection down, that's hell.
that's hell.
So that's the left brain.
That's the left brain. You're
Okay.
thinking about how you're going to maximize on profit, how you're going to buy best, take over the country, kill those people. Just about taking over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Survival mode. It's also socializing. It's also science and mathematics and all these things that we value so much that have taken over our lives to the point where we forget who we are. We just become like, doings other than instead of beings, right? And then there's this side up, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
heaven. When we start operating from this side is when the fear starts alleviating, right? Because it starts with the heart and it goes to the throat, expression, and then it goes to the center of the brain, which is actually seeing properly. Because these two eyes, they don't see. They only project,
Mm-hmm.
right? We think we are seeing things, but in reality, we are just projecting. So when you start operating from this place, you are now going to heaven, to bring heaven to earth, right? Which is why in Catholic, they do this in the name of what? They never do this down here, right? They go,
That's
they go,
that's very interesting.
right?
The things you're touching on. Yeah. Like
They go in the name of, what do they say?
I don't
God, they say the Father,
I don't remember. I'm a bad Christian. Like I
Spirit,
haven't.
right? Right? The
Yeah.
Father, the Mother. They don't say the Mother though. No, 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 no. They, that's very funny. They just say the
Yeah.
Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Exactly. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. What is
Mm-hmm.
this? This is the upper part. It's the cross. when you get to this point, you are now with God. You're breaking free. You're breaking the chains of guilt, shame, and pain and suffering, and then you can come here and starting to see. That's why you see they have an eye here, the Buddhists, because you have seen God. You're now seeing reality as it should be seen. You can see into the future. You can see into the past. You can also heal your body just by using your brain. We said that you have medicine in your brain, which is called the melatonin, circadian rhythm. If it's in alignment, it can heal everything in the body on its own. Now, guess which part of the brain, which part of the body is most attacked of them all? By every chemical you can imagine and every device you can imagine. Which part of the body is most attacked?
Okay, so say the brain.
There's a specific point.
The brain?
Yeah, there's a specific point in the brain.
Is it the pineal gland?
Exactly. The most targeted is the pineal gland. Through what? Radiation, food, and drinks. And most of it, the number one is the tap water, which it has something called sodium fluoride. Yes, the unnatural fluoride, which is in mostly in almost everything. It's in the toothpaste that we put in the mouth. Not me, but most people, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because sodium fluoride goes directly into the brain and shuts down the pineal gland. And you need your pineal gland in order to regulate the hormones, the nerves, everything. So if they attack the most important part of you, what does that mean?
I mean,
right?
Yeah. I guess you're no longer a human being in a way.
Because you're shut off. You're cut off from what what religion calls God. Basically, you can't have any intuition. You need someone else to tell you something. You need the news to tell you if something is good or bad for you. There's no other animal in nature that relies on any other animal's information to know what is good for it or not. It's only humans. And the people who tell us what's good for us are people who are not reliable most of the time. So basically, we don't have, there's something called, they say it's gut feeling. You know why they call it gut feeling? It's because it begins in the gut and it goes up. But if there's no connection between the gut and the brain, you don't have gut feeling. You become paranoid. You start, instead of questioning, you become paranoid. And anytime someone gives you information, you fight it off. Why? Because it's not in the book. It's not in the news. Right? And then 10 years later, you realize, holy shit, what is what? If I can't...
I guess that's the whole process of awakening. Because for me, as you say, you chase the rabbit down the hole, right? So for me, first, I wanted to lose weight. And then I was researching like chronic disease. But as you say, and then I was like, I made so many changes, but I didn't realize how everything connects. Now that's when I'm really going back and seeing, like, for instance, I stopped drinking tap water, right? Drinking distilled water. Then I was eating a high food diet, right? So I guess I went through a phase. It's like I'm also trying to understand what's happening with me, because you realize you're not perceiving things the way you used to. You're not seeing it the same way. Like you're not like, and then also like eventually I became a minimalist. We kind of touched about it. We'll talk about it, right? Like you realize you start, because I remember there's a comment you made one day. I think it was you, because I had taken a picture, or I made a blog post. Because now I realize, like, if I'm in an apartment, like the white walls, they don't like actually find them nice. Like I don't need to have lots of decorations on the wall, things like that. I don't know if it was you or somebody, and then they made the comment saying that it's like maybe I'm centered or I'm at peace because somebody came to my house and they found it strange that there was nothing on the wall, right? I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that or if it was you.
I
But,
think, probably, yeah. Yeah, it's the peace of mind. Um, you don't look for you don't feel like you don't need any distractions to feel a certain way. You are
yeah,
whole as you are. You don't need any extra things, right? Because most of the time we are running away from our mind. So we need things to keep us entertained at all times, which is beta frequency again, to stay entertained with your eyes open all the time, right? We're
yeah.
having fun.
I guess we need to be entertained. I guess also we're also trying to hold on maybe on some past because I realize most people have pictures like you're a kid or a picture of somebody like
Mm,
who's in a different country. Uh,
right.
because also like because I used to have a lot of things I say about reggae things like that. But also it's like it's like I felt it's like if I love reggae, like why do I need to display it on the wall? Like I know, you know what I mean? So if,
Mm,
even the way I use my social media, like it just goes into stages. And then you realize like because I was talking to a friend I think it was 2019 or so. Because I've been living a nomad lifestyle, like I've been living in different cities, moving around. So I was, met with him. We're talking. He's like, oh, actually, you travel a lot. You moved around a lot. Then he's like, yeah, but we don't see that on Instagram, right?
mm,
But then it hit me. I'm like I never felt the need. Even when I go for long walks, I see beautiful. I might see some beautiful nature. Like I don't even feel the need to take pictures. For me, I feel like I'm there, right? Because I feel like if I
mm,
stop to take a picture, it's like I'm disconnecting myself from that experience. But also
mm,
it's like I'm taking a picture so to go show people, right? It feels weird. So I've done long walks. I've seen like I lived in different places. I've seen beautiful, right? But I no longer feel the urge like I need to take a picture so I could share with people, and I also feel like as I'm there,
mm,
like sometimes I'll sit down and get soaking with the nature, whatever. But at the same time, I say I don't need a picture to remind me this. If it is an information I need, my brain is gonna stock it, right? Like
mm.
I don't know if it kind of ties in what we're talking
I
about today.
understand. I
Like
understand.
I've
I
had different
understand.
weird experiences. Yeah.
Being in the moment, fully in the moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what you're speaking of, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I guess yeah, because I just found there's so many little experiences like uh, it's just you realize when somebody points it out. So there's a question that came in. Maybe we could start taking questions. I think
All
it's
right.
I don't know when we started because I think in a 1 hour maybe it's gonna cut again. Yeah. So before I say the question, uh, yeah. So the topic today was the connection between our health and our spiritual aspect of our lives. Yeah. So if you have any questions about spirituality or about health or healthy lifestyle, yeah, you could go ahead and ask me or ask Eddy. So the question is, so somebody's asking, so what do you use to brush your teeth?
Oh, that's this question. That's a good question.
It came in the question box. Yeah.
You can actually buy toothpaste that has no fluoride in it, right? Because sodium fluoride is a poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can research that. It's not something that I made up. Sodium fluoride. Not, there's two types of fluoride. There's sodium, which is an industrial waste, right? It's poison
Okay.
from different chemicals. And there's calcium fluoride, which is natural, right? You don't need to put it in anything. It's just in nature. Um, you can Google toothpaste without
Let
what
me
do you
grab
say?
my toothpaste. I could show. You could keep answering. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Right. So you can get yourself fluoride-free toothpaste, or you can make your own toothpaste um, using you can use anything, baking soda, lemon. um, mint, aloe vera. There's so many things you can do. Look it up, and you'll find there's so much information on that. I think the most important thing is to know what's in your toothpaste, because even these toothpaste, they say if your child accidentally swallows even this much, call, what did they say? Call the doctor.
Yeah, so no, actually, I made a post about it. Even like if you have Colgate, you could look up most Colgate boxes. It's gonna say if you swallow it, call the poisonous line, right?
Exactly. And then they show you on the commercial, they put this much on the toothbrush,
Yeah,
right? They say you should use this much, and they say it's poison. So basically, they've already told you. It's on the box. You can read it.
yeah. So for me, the one I've used different brands. Like this, is like one of the brand I use. Uh,
I'll be back. I
so I
got
don't
I
know
got
because
another
it's
one
gonna
too. I
show
keep
up.
forgetting.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
So this one is
Second.
called like the green beaver. The green beaver. Uh, but what you're looking for, you're looking for toothpaste like we know, like no fluoride, no SLS, what they call like a sodium laurate sulfate, and also like when I'm using this one, I also buy the one where it does not create any foam in the mouth when I'm brushing, because they also have to put certain things, like so you have this foam in your mouth, so like this type of thing I use. I also look for the ones where there's no what they call the foam, like foam agent, right? Yeah, so yeah, but also this also applies for skincare and all those kind of things. Yeah, just read the list of ingredients. Yeah, for the skincare, I'll be
Yes, I'm back.
uploading some stuff on YouTube. There's a session
I'm
we
back.
did on skincare. Yeah.
I
Okay.
use I use King I use one that is called Kingfisher. I think you've seen it,
Okay.
with charcoal in it. Well, there's different ones. The most important thing is to know what's in your toothpaste, because we were talking about the pineal gland. Your most important part in the body is inside in the center of your brain. It regulates everything else. It's like if you imagine if your body was um, a company or an airplane. This here inside is actually the the most important part that runs, the vehicle. Religion calls it God, right? And you've seen many civilizations used to have a little dot on their face here,
Yeah.
right? It's because they knew what's inside of them.
Hmm.
So when you change what goes into your belly, it affects what's in the center of your brain, which is the seat of the soul. When this is healthy, no one can teach you anything. You get information from a place, we don't know what that is, but you get information no one else has access to unless they are also tuned into that. It's
Yeah.
not a joke. You can start today, clean your gut, raise this energy. It's going to go to your brain and it's going to open you up to a different world, different perspective. Everything is going to change. Now, the best thing you can do right now is to change your toothpaste first, and then pay attention to what kind of water you drink, because it has sodium fluoride in it too.
Yeah. So the tap water is full of a lot of chemicals. Like yeah. So that's something I really
Absolutely.
like. Something I changed like also like many years ago. Like I can count how many times I drank tap water.
Mm.
Maybe if I go visit somebody and then they make me tea. Uh, yeah. So yeah,
The
chemicals
best, I'm sorry,
yeah.
uh, without cutting you off, the best water you can
Yeah.
drink is water that is trapped inside the plants. Make
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
make that a priority. Like if you can drink juice at least once a day, choose any kind of fruits you want, any kind of veggies you want. Drink one every single day
Yeah,
and watch what happens.
so pretty much that's the like because I tell people to drink distilled water, but actually the best distilled water is the water from plants, because when people you like you say, oh, we need minerals and you should like because if you eat lots of plant-based foods like high water foods, actually you get to a point you don't really even need to drink water per se, like because you are hydrated, like you right. So the reason why we need to drink water like 2 liters, 3 liters, right, is because we're eating dry foods, we're eating things that dehydrate
It's,
us, we're eating. But if you're in a high water like diet, right? Like the external water intake, like from your tap or from the bottle, like it really
exactly.
goes down because you're getting the best distilled water by the plants, but also it comes with all the minerals and all those things like we need. Because there's a
Yeah.
topic we didn't touch. Maybe we could touch it next time. I think Instagram is gonna cut off soon. Because maybe we could say something quickly. If you guys have questions, you could ask your questions now because I think Instagram is gonna disconnect again. And
It's
because
only 1 hour.
it's been almost two hours. Yeah. So the topic today is our health and the connection between our health and our spiritual aspects. Yeah, so go ahead. Sorry, I'm really bad at multitasking. I was trying to see, yeah, because we're almost coming up to an hour because I was trying to see what time I sent you a message.
What was I think did I answer the question? The expectation were they met? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I think we did a really good job.
Okay.
Yeah, so guys, if you
Okay.
have questions, you can ask questions right now. But if we're almost done, since we're talking about water and minerals, maybe something you could touch on quickly. Because I had like different things. So I was hoping we'll touch on, but maybe we could do it another time.
Mm.
How how all these things tie in with our body being electric?
Well, everything is electricity.
Yeah.
It has to do with the blood, right? The cleaner the blood, the better the electricity can travel through you. And blood is mostly water, right? Plasma.
Mhm.
So when your blood is not flowing as it should, you are not getting the electricity, enough electricity through all through your nerves and organs. So the lighter the intake, the lighter the energy. And it shouldn't even be something everybody knows. Every time a person drinks juice or smoothie, they say, wow, I feel something happens with my stomach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's evidence all the time. And every time a person just ate a huge piece of bread like this, right? They go, ooh. It was not
There's
worth it.
there's somebody who said that let's say if you spend a whole day eating like raw plant food and then you
Mm.
eat a cooked meal in the evening, it's like it's like you're having a good day and then you get punched by Michael Tyson in the evening.
Exactly. Yeah.
so
You
so
tell me,
we have 1 minute. We have 1 minute left.
yeah.
So maybe let's conclude.
I usually,
We could always come back to. We could do another. We could probably do an live another time. It's already been 2 hours. Yeah,
absolutely.
55 seconds. What's your concluding remarks, and how can people get your book for those who want to get the book?
Yeah, I have a link on my page. You can just go check the link tree, right? Just click on it or DM me. I can just give you a link already directly. And yeah,
Okay.
I also have a book coming, not recipe book, but it has many recipes in it. How you can
Okay.
start your day without having to stress, right? I don't like to tell
Yeah.
people what to eat or how to live. I just show you how you can find your own way
Yeah.
through
10,
creativity
10,
because
10, 10
10
seconds.
seconds.
Yeah. So I don't know
Okay.
if you're not, I don't know if you're not come back or, but it's gonna cut off 5 seconds. I'll talk to you in
No,
private and then we'll see.